Hello guys, welcome to The Real Convo. First off, I'd like to say thank you to you guys. A lot of you have been subscribing to my page. The page has grown by as much as 300% in the last 3 days. That's extraordinary. Thank you. And if you've not subscribed, this is a good time to do it. Today's conversation is a matter of life and death. Yes, life and death. Because we're discussing suicide. We're going to be talking about the myth, the facts, and we're going to be relying on help from the World Health Organization and some other organizations that are focusing and paying attention to the issue of suicide around the world. An important fact that I need to state right now to let you understand why suicide is important, apart from those of us that have lost people to suicide, is that suicide actually kills more people globally, twice the number of people that die from HIV and AIDS. So we must pay attention to suicide. Before we get started, we need to talk about certain misconceptions, so-called myths around suicide. If you don't understand these misconceptions or myths, it will be quite difficult for us to understand the big issue concerning suicide. One of the misconceptions is to think that people who talk about taking their own lives will never really do it. Fact, almost everyone who attempts suicide has given some clue or warning. Don't ignore even indirect references to death or suicide. Statements like, "You'll be sorry when I'm gone," or "I can't see any way out," no matter how casually or jokingly said, may indicate serious suicidal feelings. Another myth is to think that anyone who tries to kill him or herself must be crazy. Fact, most suicidal people are not psychotic or insane. They must be upset, grief-stricken, depressed or despairing. But extreme distress and emotional pain are not necessarily signs of mental illness. Yet another myth, that anyone who is determined to kill him or herself cannot be stopped. Fact, even the most severely depressed person has mixed feelings about death, wavering until the very last moment between wanting to live and wanting to die. Most suicidal people do not want death. They want the pain to stop. The impulse to end it all, however overpowering, does not last forever. Another misconception to consider is this thinking that people who died by suicide were just unwilling to seek help. That's not true. Fact, studies of suicide victims have shown that more than half had sought medical help in the 6 months prior to their deaths. Yet another myth, that talking about suicide may give someone the idea. That again is not true. Fact, you don't give a suicidal person morbid ideas by talking about suicide. The opposite is true. Bringing up the subject of suicide and discussing it openly is one of the most helpful things you can do. There are always suicide warning signs. One of the things to pay attention to is that they talk about suicide, they start to talk about suicide a lot. They give out other warning signs like withdrawing into themselves. But I'd also like to read out some of these signs from helpguide.org. They seek out lethal means. They seek access to guns, pills, knives, poisons, and the likes. They are preoccupied with death, unusual focus on death, dying, or violence. They are self-loathing and self-centered. They get their affairs in order. I think I mentioned that earlier. They always saying goodbye. If someone you've not seen in a long time comes to visit you, says goodbye in a very, very funny way, like, "Dude, I don't think you're going to see me again in a long time," without necessarily saying it in those exact words. They withdraw into themselves. They keep their privacy because obviously they're considering things that are unusual. They start to sometimes exhibit self-destructive behavior. Then there is a sudden sense of calm. These are not limited, of course, but you can get some of them from helpguide.org. There are common suicide risk factors. like drug abuse, like alcoholism, mental illness, family history, a very traumatic event, social isolation and loneliness, previous suicide attempt, chronic pain, a recent loss, amongst others. Now, how do you help a suicidal person? One very important help is to seek professional help. You have to seek professional help. Then, help the person follow up on treatment. Be proactive. Those considering suicide don't often think they can be helped. So you have to be responsible by being proactive, by essentially helping them before the critical moment. Encourage positive lifestyle changes. Make a safety plan. Remove potential means of suicide. Make sure to continue your support over the long haul. Don't just help them and abandon them. And just as important, don't listen to them, then use their stories as points of conversation on social media or whilst having drinks with your friends. You must keep their privacy private, and you must understand that the only reason they spoke to you is because they trusted you in the first place. So make sure never to betray their trust. There are certain things you should do when speaking with a suicidal person. Number one, listen, and just listen. Just keep listening. This is not the time for you to talk. This is not the time for you to think that you have some ideas or suggestions. Just listen to them. Let them pour out as much as they can. And to help them pour out, your own responsibility is to, at this point, listen. Another thing you must do is to be yourself. Don't be dramatic. Don't act or be too cosmetic or act too concerned. Just be yourself. Be natural. Then of course you must be sympathetic. You can't afford to be judgmental. You have to be calm. You have to be patient. By all means, do your best to offer hope. The one thing that they lack at this time is hope. So do your best to offer hope. Please make sure to take the person seriously. Life and death issues are serious issues. So do your best to take the person seriously. There are things you should avoid doing when engaging or trying to help a suicidal person. Please, never argue with a suicidal person. Avoid arguments. Listen, I did not say avoid unnecessary arguments. I said avoid arguments altogether. Do not act short. Try as much as possible to act normal. Don't give them the impression that, you've been going through this, Don't do all that stuff. Do your best to act normal. Don't act short. Please do not promise them confidentiality. The reason is because you may of course need to speak to a professional. So don't promise them confidentiality. They are likely to ask for confidentiality, but do your best not to make that promise. Avoid offering ways to fix their problems. Avoid giving advice. Avoid giving suggestions. Just listen. Because of course you are not a professional, but listening helps. One other thing you shouldn't do is to blame yourself. You can't fix someone else's lack of happiness or depression. So please do not blame yourself. Friends, suicide is a big issue. And I should also say that this video doesn't offer professional help. This is not your professional help. You must seek professional help. This video is to open up a conversation on suicide. It is also to show you some very minimal facts around suicide. Also to get you to start paying attention to the conversation on suicide, but it doesn't offer you professional help. I should also say that you should start paying attention to your friends. Don't assume that everything is a joke. Don't assume that somebody is just playing or fooling around. Listen as much as possible. Be there for your friends. Be there for your family. I have on the screen phone numbers you can reach out to if you notice any signs. But whatever you do, please always make sure to seek professional help. Thank you. Don't forget to like my page, subscribe, and please share. Somebody might need it. Thank you and have a great day. Bye. That's true. I forgot. Wait, I didn't take that last line. I'll take that last line again. Kai, that was good though.
What was the last line?
I'm supposed to say I love you. Right? I'll do that one next time, man. I love you.